US Route 19. Yeah! And US Route 19E for a little bit at the beginning of this video. Alright, hello everyone, I am Quartermonge437 and we have made it! This is the last video about US Route 19, at least until the Northbound Supercut comes out, but this is the last video with original material in it. This is the last main video in the series, so to speak. So let's take one more look at the map of the route that we are going to take. As always, US Route 19 goes from just north of Bradenton, Florida at a junction with US 41 all the way up to Erie, Pennsylvania. Although in this video we are only looking at the portion where US 19 splits into US 19E and W near Burnsville, North Carolina, and making the rest of the trip up to Erie. But before we begin, I must of course remind you, as always, to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, leave a comment down below if you have any feedback for me or if you want to discuss this highway. And if you really enjoyed it, please be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. But without further ado, let us finish the US 19 series and start talking about Northbound from the E and W split. So here is where US 19E splits off from US 19W. 19W goes left and we will be going straight. Although, before we actually really get anywhere, I wanted to show you something really funny that I found when I was getting pictures for 19W, like US 19 Southbound Part 2. If we look at the beginning of US 19W, we get this notice to truckers that trucks are not recommended on US 19W because of the steep grades and winding curves that it goes through. Although, here is this sign from 2013, and we can see that NCDOT has made a typo. They forgot to put out the second M in the word recommended. And then here is another sign just up the road from that one where they actually did get it correctly. And this is also from 2013. So I just thought that was really funny. But anyways, here is our first junction on US 19E after the split. And it is with North Carolina Route 197. It is getting signed for Pensacola. So I wonder if I take 197 south, can I eventually get into Florida? And we are signed for Spruce Pine. And I must address a mistake that I made in Northbound Part 1 when we were looking at a sign for US 23A and US 19. We were getting signed for Spruce Pine and 23A was getting signed for something else. So I apologize for any confusion I may have caused when I incorrectly said that 23A was getting signed for Spruce Pine. But anyways, here is our first mileage sign that we will see in this video, and it is a one-line sign with only Spruce Pine at 15 miles away, which, I mean, to be honest, I think that probably makes sense. There's really not a whole lot that US 19E goes through, although there is actually more civilization that it goes through. Like, there's actually more towns and stuff, but like none of them are really that major. Maybe I would like to see Elizabethton, Tennessee on this sign, because that's like the first real like major place that we're we're going to go to, but I don't think it's too much of a crime. Here is where North Carolina 197 splits off and is getting signed for Red Hill and Bakersville, I think that is. It's kind of hard to read, but we are still getting signed for Spruce Pine. And then here is a reassurance shield of just 19E, and we can see that we have a 2-line mileage sign where Spruce Pine is still on the bottom line, our theoretical control city, and it is 14 miles away. Here we are meeting North Carolina Route 226, and we're going to be, I believe, concurrent with Southbound North Carolina 226. It gets signed for Bakersville and Mitchell High, and we are still signed for Spruce Pine because we are still technically not to Spruce Pine yet. Here is where Southbound North Carolina 226 splits off, and at our left turn we are signed for Spruce Pine downtown. It is getting signed for Marion, and in the other direction also gets Bakersville, but we don't get any control city, so that's a little weird. Why is the, in theory, the upper route on the hierarchy, why is that not getting favored? I don't know. But here we are meeting North Carolina 194, and I believe we're also going to have a concurrency with it. Or this is where we split off of it, and we are now getting signed for Cranberry. And I don't really like that too much, because Cranberry is an unincorporated community, and at this point, I think you really should just start signing Elizabethton, Tennessee. But then we see this 1-line mileage sign with only Cranberry on it. So they're not even putting anything else north of 17 miles away on it. So what the heck? This is not a good sign from North Carolina. Shocker, I know, but still. But along the way to Cranberry, we can see some beautiful scenery on US 19E here in North Carolina. I really like the fall foliage that Google was able to capture with this street view. Here is where we will have a left turn with US 19E and North Carolina 194. We are now getting signed for Roan Mountain, which I don't really like at all. That is the first place that 19E goes through in Tennessee, so yeah, again, I'd rather see Elizabethton on there. Here is where North Carolina 194 is splitting off from us, so we were meeting and going to start a concurrency with 194 at that other picture, but anyway, now we are getting signed for Elk Park. I don't know what the heck they're doing here. I guess they really just don't want to sign Elizabethton, Tennessee for whatever reason. They just want to go with all these other smaller places. And then on our next mileage sign, Elk Park is only 1 mile away, while Roan Mountain is on our bottom line at 6 miles away. I really feel like Roan Mountain should just be the top line and Elizabethton being the second line, but what are you going to do? Here we are coming into Tennessee, and this time we actually see Tennessee's proper welcome sign, because we did not see that on Southbound Part 1 when we came into Tennessee in Bristol. They just had a pathetic entering Tennessee green small sign. Yeah, so this time we actually get a proper welcome to Tennessee, so that is nice to see. And immediately afterwards, we see another mileage sign where Roan Mountain is now on our top line at 5 miles away, and Elizabethton comes onto our bottom line at 20 miles away. Finally! This should have been signed from so much further. here we are coming up to our turn to go to Roan Mountain State Park, and we meet Tennessee 143, but we get no mention of that, and 143 doesn't really get a proper control city, so here is a one-line mileage sign with Elizabethton at 16 miles away, and again, that's probably the correct choice for a one-line. Maybe I'd like to see like Bristol or something also thrown onto the sign, but if you're just going to do one, I'd say Elizabethton is probably the right choice. Here we are meeting US 321 and Tennessee Route 67. And they're getting signed for Mountain City and Boone, North Carolina, here at this Shell and Dunkin' Donuts. And then we are actually also concurrent with West Tennessee 67 and North US 321, although we don't get a reassured shield for 19E, so that's a little weird. Valley Forge? Oh no! How did we already get into Pennsylvania? I thought we were in Tennessee. Why are we seeing a sign for Valley Forge? Oh no, that's not good. Here is US 321 splitting off along with Tennessee 67. And we also get a 2 Interstate 26 shield, as we are now also going to be concurrent with Tennessee 91. Getting signed for Shady Valley and Bristol, and the other way gets Johnson City, so I feel like you could have mentioned Johnson City on this route, even though we don't go to it, but either way, we are going to continue straight ahead. And pretty soon after that intersection, 91 just splits off, and it is the one getting signed for Shady Valley, so we are getting signed for Bristol. And then, just after where Tennessee 91 splits off, I noticed this beautiful street view imagery where Google actually got some snow on the ground. I think I just said that, but either way, this street view imagery was from January of 2024, and it's really cool that we get some of that. And here we are meeting back up with US 19W, and from this point forward we are just going to be on regular US 19, and we will be on regular US 19 all the way throughout the rest of the video to Erie. Anyway, now we are getting signed for Bristol, while the other way is getting signed for Johnson City, as it should be. And here is a reassurance shield for both US 11E and 19. The 19 one kind of reminds me of some of the shields we saw in Georgia. The shield itself does not actually take up the full width of the sign, so that's kind of interesting. Here we are crossing over the Holston River once again. Still got some snow on the ground. Here we are coming up to the Bristol city limits, although just like with St. Petersburg, Florida, the city limits of Bristol stretch out pretty far, and we are still quite a ways from downtown, and it appears we have lost our snow shot, so that's a little disappointing. Here we go by the Bristol Motor Speedway once again. And we are now meeting up with US 421 and going to have a brief concurrency with it. South 421, turn right. 11E, 19, and 421, stay straight. As we also get a couple pieces of railroad equipment just randomly right here, so that is pretty cool. And now we come into Virginia. I was a little bit wary about Tennessee's signage going in because from what I have learned after making Southbound Part 1, where I was praising them a lot, Yeah, I didn't know about some of the bad choices that they make on U.S. highways, so I'm a lot more aware of that now. But it actually wasn't too bad. But in any case, like I said, here we are coming into Virginia, and we get some more snow on the ground, so really cool. And here is where 421 splits off. And now US 11E and W are reuniting to form regular US 11, and we are going to become concurrent with regular US 11, as we also get 2 Interstate 81 straight ahead. Here we are meeting Interstate 81 and US 58. North 81 is getting signed north for Roanoke, and I believe southbound it gets signed for Knoxville, which is the correct choice. And on Interstate 81 and US 58, we are getting the Kentucky treatment of the highway. And at first I got really mad about this, but then I had a thought, like, what would the control cities be? Because you would have to favor both US 11 and 19, so in hindsight, maybe this is actually a good usage of the Kentucky treatment. Although, we come up to secondary Virginia Route 869, and we can see it is not recommended for tractor trailers. And we get GPS routing not advised. But, hey, Virginia, if that's the case, what is our control city? Maybe you could tell us that, so truckers could try to take another route to avoid Virginia 869. Here at this exit off of Interstate 81, we can see that we are now getting signed for Abingdon, which I think that probably makes sense. We're a bit far away from Bluefield, and I believe that's what we will be signed for in a bit. Here is where US 11 and 19 go their separate ways, and we are now getting signed for Hansonville and Bluefield. I believe Hansonville is either a secondary or they are signing that for US 58 Alt, which we will be meeting shortly. Here is a reassurance shield and mileage sign combo that Virginia likes to do. And we are getting Bluefield 79 miles away on the bottom line, and our secondary is Lebanon. Here we are meeting and going to be concurrent with alternate US 58, west straight ahead, east turn right. And here is another mileage sign reassurance shield combo, although it looks like US 19 has left the chat. We only get a westbound alternate US 58 shield, but we still get Bluefield on the bottom line as we are now a mile closer to it. I think Norton was not our secondary before. I think that's on alternate 58. Here is where alternate 58 splits off, and we continue to go straight. And then we get another reassurance shield and mileage sign combo with Tazewell now being our secondary at 47 miles away. Bluefield still on the bottom line at 66 miles away. And here we are coming into Lebanon, or at least going around it, as we meet Business US 19 and Virginia's secondary route 660. Also getting signed for Cleveland. And past Lebanon, we're getting another reassurance shield mileage sign combo. Bluefield now only 56 miles away, and Tazewell is our secondary at 37. Here is where we are meeting and going to become concurrent with US 460 for the first of 2 times going this direction. And we are now signed, well, we are still assigned for Bluefield, and I believe 460 is getting signed for Richlands and Pikeville at the left turn, so interesting that it gets 2 control cities. Here is a mileage sign with both 19 and 460 reassurance shields. Although we only get Tazewell and Bluefield, we don't get any strictly 460 cities. Also, look at these mountains in the background. That is beautiful. Here is a business route for both US 19 and 460 once again. We saw this also in Southbound Part 1. Past that turn, we get this 3-line mileage sign, which has Tazewell on the top line, Bluefield on the second line, and Roanoke on the bottom line at 129 miles away. That is for US 460, and it seems like they're kind of favoring 460 on this line, but that is a-okay because I like seeing Roanoke there. That is an awesome choice to have on the bottom line. And here is where I believe the business route of 19 and 460 come back. And then we get another mileage sign with Perrysburg as our secondary at 52 miles away, and Roanoke is still on the bottom line. Correction, I think this sign is where they're favoring 460. That other one is like for both of them, really. But either way, I still like seeing Roanoke on that bottom line there. That is really cool. And here is where we split off of US 460 as we're getting signed for Bluefield and West Graham. I have no idea what West Graham is, but we do still have Bluefield on there because we are technically south of downtown and stuff. So, good sign, I suppose. Here we are coming into West Virginia, and we can see that we are entering into Mercer County. Oh no, even in West Virginia, we can't escape Mercer. Oh boy. Here is the big bridge that US 52 goes over on its way to meet up with us, and we're going to be concurrent with a little bit. Here are the shields where we actually need it, and they're going to start our brief. Actually, wrong way concurrency because we have a north and southbound route, and it's also a long way concurrency in the sense that 52 should be, in theory, signed east and west, but they sign it north and south in West Virginia. Here is where US 52 splits off, and now we're going to be concurrent with South Truck US 52. And here is a picture of the Bluefield Norfolk Southern Yard. I just had to get this because, you know me, if you've seen any of these videos before, I love trains. Here is where US 460 splits off, and we are getting signed for Princeton now, and the other way is getting signed for Tazewell. Here is a 3-line mileage sign with Princeton on the top line, Oakdale in the middle, and Perrysburg, Virginia is our bottom line at 35 miles away. So this is another mileage sign where they're favoring 460 on our second concurrency with it. I feel like you could have Perrysburg being a second line and Beckley being a bottom line, or just have Beckley somewhere on the sign. I'm not sure which is farther away at this point. Here is where 460 splits off, and it is getting signed for Perrysburg, Virginia, and now we are getting signed for Princeton. Actually, I guess that's the right choice on the 19 and 460 concurrency for us, because Beckley is a bit far away, actually, and I mean, Princeton isn't like that small. It's like 5,000 people, I believe, so I guess signing it over Beckley isn't too much of a crime, although we should definitely be signed for Beckley after leaving Princeton. And here in downtown Princeton, we're meeting West Virginia 20. as we get this split of turn right to stay on North 19, and turn right will lead you to northbound West Virginia 20. Here we are meeting Interstate 77 once again, and it is getting its not very good controls of Beckley and Bluefield. We should be signed for Beckley, and it should be signed for, I believe, Charleston at this point, and southbound probably Charlotte, although I guess Wytheville might not be so bad because of the famous wrong way courtesy of 81. But anyway, at this sign off of the exit from 77, we can see that southbound 19 is getting signed for Camp Creek State Park, and northbound we get nothing because they really don't want to sign anything for 19 because they can't sign Beckley for reasons. I don't know why we don't get a control city, but anyway, here we are meeting and going to become concurrent with West Virginia Route 3 as we get another sign for Beckley, as it should be. And here in Beckley, we are concurrent with West Virginia Route 16 to Interstate 64 and 77 as we are getting signed for Bradley and Oak Hill. I believe Oak Hill is the correct choice out of Beckley because that is the next major town along the way. Here we are meeting the ramp over to Interstate 64 and 77. It is getting signed for Bluefield, and we are getting signed for Oak Hill and Summersville. So we are throwing a... Well, I think that's the next control after Oak Hill. I guess Oak Hill is kind of like a secondary at this point, but I don't think we really need to worry about Summersville just yet. And here is a picture that the Derp Hog took one time. He was making a trip from North Carolina to Springfield, Illinois. He was getting on to southbound US 19 and West Virginia 16 at this interchange, although sadly he did not get on northbound 19. But either way, I just wanted to show this picture because also the Derp Hog was really hoping to show some pictures on 19, and he only got this one and a couple others. Anyway, we see a mileage sign with Oak Hill on the second line of 3, and Fayetteville is on the bottom line at 16 miles away. So where did Somerville go? Although I think Fayetteville is like about the same size, maybe a tad bit bigger than Somerville. I don't know. Either way, at this point, I really think maybe they should just have a 2-line with Oak Hill on the bottom line. But we're going to move on. Past Oak Hill, we get another 3-line mileage sign where Fayetteville is on the top line at 4 miles away. We got Summersville on the second line at 31 miles away, and now Clarksburg becomes our bottom line at 122 miles away. And I'm actually not really too sure how to feel about this, because I feel like Clarksburg is only on there for Interstate 79, which we're going to be meeting in a little bit. So if they were strictly talking about like 19, then yeah, that might be a pretty good control city. But since we're going to be concurrent with 79, I'm not really so sure that I like to see that Clarksburg there. We'll see what they do. Here we are crossing over the New River once again on this massive, massive, massive bridge that is 876 feet above the river, which is absolutely insane. But we got some beautiful scenery as always in West Virginia. Here we are meeting US 60, the Midland Trail, with its terrible, terrible control cities of Gawley Bridge and Raynell. I believe this should be Charleston for westbound, and I forget what the correct eastbound control city would be for here, but it is certainly not Raynell. Should be something bigger. After leaving that intersection, we get Mount Nebo, 10 miles away on the top line. Summersville is our secondary, and now we're getting I-79 on the bottom line at 41 miles away, which I suppose in of itself isn't too bad, but that is giving me a pretty bad feeling that maybe that Clarksburg was there because of the fact that we're meeting 79. And here is another mileage sign with Birch River 18 miles away on the top line. Sutton 31 miles away as our secondary middle line. And Clarksburg is our bottom line at 92 miles away. So yes, it appears that they are favoring Interstate 79 and giving it its terrible primary of Clarksburg. Should be Morgantown or Pittsburgh at this point. Here we are going to be meeting up with and becoming concurrent with Interstate 79 for a short time as it gets its southbound control city of Charleston, which is correct, and northbound it is signed for Clarksburg as opposed to either of those other cities that I mentioned before. And our first mileage sign that we see after we merge onto Interstate 79 has Sutton on the top line, Weston on the second line, and Clarksburg on the bottom line at 63 miles away. Nope. We are going to fix that right now. Here is what this mileage sign should look like, or maybe even, I don't know, have Clarksburg be the top line, Morgantown be the second line, and Pittsburgh on the bottom line. Either way, this mileage sign I think is at least a lot better than what they do have, and it has been fixed by yours truly. So get your act together, West Virginia. Start signing Morgantown on Interstate 79. You'll be way better off for it. Anyway, here we split off of Interstate 79, and we can see that West Virginia 4 is the one getting signed for Sutton, and not 19. Although I can still kind of understand why Sutton would be somewhat, maybe, I can understand why it's on signs, because that is roughly where 79 and 19 split off. But now we're getting signed for Flatwoods. What the heck is that? Oh, it's the first line on this mileage line, and it's only a mile away. And our secondary is now Rock Cave at 21 miles away, and Weston is on our bottom line at 42 miles away. So, yeah, having Weston as a primary for us makes sense. And it should definitely be not on the bottom line for 79, although maybe it could be a top line or something. Either way, here we are coming into Weston, and we are meeting and going to be concurrent with 33 and 119 very briefly. Here is where those routes split off, and now we're getting signed for Jackson's Mill. Again, I have no idea what the heck that is. It probably should be Clarksburg at this point, or Fairmont. I don't remember 100% what our next town is. Oh, here we are getting another mileage sign with Jane Lou on the top line, and Clarksburg as our bottom line at 22 miles away. So, yeah, I believe Clarksburg is what you should have put on that last sign, and not Jackson's Mill. That was stupid. So here we are meeting US 50, getting signed for Parkersburg and Bridgeport once again. Now we got another mileage sign with Fairmont on the bottom line at 25 miles away. That is a good choice. Although interestingly, this one is only 2 lines, because normally they like to do 3 lines in West Virginia. Here in Fairmont, we are meeting US 250. Although at this intersection, we do not get any control cities, so that's a bit lame. Here we are just outside of Morgantown, meeting Interstate 79 once again, as it gets its terrible control cities of Fairmont Southbound and Washington, PA Northbound. So, I mean, at least they put the PA there, but there really is no excuse not to put Pittsburgh. So, just put Pittsburgh on it. I don't know what the heck they're doing. And I have been off of this exit one time back in May of 2024. Here is what 19 gets signed for on the ramp. Granville, Westover, and Morgantown, because we are technically not downtown yet. And here are the direction shields for US 19 off of this ramp. So there's going to be a couple more personal pictures from me coming up this video, because I want to show you some other stuff that I have taken. Anyway, here we are crossing over the Monongahela River for the first time, going northbound, as we get somewhat of a view of downtown Morgantown, and we can see a bit more of the river looking out to our right. We're meeting up with US 119 once again, and also West Virginia 7. We will be concurrent with westbound West Virginia 7, and eastbound West Virginia 7 is concurrent with US 119. And if you want to go south on 119 to Interstate 68, you'll want to make a right turn. And here is another sign in downtown Morgantown, where we get to Interstate 79, North 19, and West 7 turn left, as this right turn will just lead you to a street in Morgantown. At this left turn to Interstate 79, it gets its awful control cities of Fairmont and Washington, PA once again, and it looks like we are getting signed for New Martinsville. I'm guessing that's there for West Virginia 7, but why is there no control city for us? That's really weird. And here we are coming into Pennsylvania, our last state. And we just get the minor version of their welcome sign, so I'm glad we're not getting the version that we see on the interstates, because you already know why. Our first, our first noteworthy place at all in Pennsylvania is Mount Morris. And here in Mount Morris, we get another intersection with a 279 shield on it. And this road will actually lead you over here to this interchange with Interstate 79. So here is my own picture on Interstate 79, where that road leads to the interchange. Here on the other side of Mount Morris, we meet some random road that gets a direction sign with control cities on it, and since that is the case, I was hoping that we would get one at this intersection, because that would be our first chance to find out what our northbound control city is. So let's take a look off of this intersection and let's see what we get. It says Kirby. The sign says Kirby. Do you want to know what Kirby is? It's just some random buildings in the middle of nowhere! We are getting signed for just some random intersection! That is what we are getting signed for. That is why Kirby is on this sign. Are you freaking kidding me? And the other way getting signed for Mount Morris is really not that great either. I think you should probably just say Morgantown, because I mean, it's only 1 mile away. Mount Morris is unincorporated community, but like, holy sweet mother Jesus. I understand that maybe Pittsburgh is a bit too far away to sign, maybe even Washington, but Can we just sign US 19 for some semblance of civilization and just sign it for Waynesburg? Oh my goodness gracious, PennDOT. This is the worst direction sign I've ever seen. This is ridiculous. Just put Waynesburg and Morgantown on it. Oh, it's okay. Southbound, you can favor both routes inside for Morgantown. Kirby. What the heck? Again, just getting signed for basically just getting signed for some random intersection in the middle of nowhere. Here is what it looks like when we get to the intersection, which is the reason that we're signed for Kirby. There is nothing here. We only get a 279 shield and garage Ford 6 miles. This road leads over to this interchange, which doesn't even mention 19 at all, and we don't even get any other information about us, like what our next control city after it. This is so useless to sign. Why is it on there? It should be Waynesburg. Okay, so just outside of Waynesburg, we meet Pennsylvania Route 21. We're going to have a brief concurrency with it, and we get signed for Waynesburg at only 1 mile away, when at this point it should be Washington Pa. But you know what? I'm just at least glad to see Waynesburg on there, because that's what should have been signed there, like out of Morgantown or Mount Morris. I don't know. Either way, here we are splitting off of Pennsylvania 21, and at this intersection, we don't get any sort of information about our control city, and we don't get any mileage signs after this, so I had to look at this intersection with Pennsylvania 221, where we are getting correctly signed for Waynesburg and Washington. So that is good at least, but I don't know why you couldn't have signed Waynesburg at that direction sign. Here we have this interchange with 79 where we only get access to Southbound, and it is getting signed for Waynesburg and Morgantown. I think just Morgantown will do the job there. And a little bit further up the road, we come to this intersection where we get another direction sign where Waynesburg is listed for Southbound, and we get Amity at 2 miles away. No! Amity is like not even a real town. It's like an unincorporated community. It should be Washington Pa on this sign. Terrible. And here we are at another interchange with Interstate 79 where it's getting Washington Pa and Waynesburg, so PennDOT showing their provincialism as always. And here's another sign at this interchange where Washington Pa is straight up ahead, and they're only putting that on there because of Interstate 79. We don't really get a control city, and we can see Lone Pine is signed for this right turn, and that's the only reason that Lone Pine is signed on 79, like at the exit. But anyway, here we are coming into the Washington Pa area, and we are meeting and going to become concurrent with US 40 for a little bit. Here is where those routes go their separate ways. And we come to the Interstate 70 and 79 concurrency where they get 3 good control cities, and we're just going to move on because I don't even want to talk about that last one. Leaving that interchange, we get this overhead pull through for Pittsburgh, so that is pretty cool to see. And just a little bit down the road from that, we get this awesome view. So PennDOT is not good at signing control cities, but at least we are in a state with some beautiful scenery, just like West Virginia. Here we are turning left to stay on to US 19 as the right turn goes to the bypass 19 that is signed on Google Maps, but there is no indication of that in real life. And then we are meeting up with Interstate 376, going to have a very, very brief concurrency with it, and US 22 and 30. And we are getting signed for Uniontown and West End. I believe Uniontown is for PA 51. Not sure how I feel about West End getting signed for us. Here is where we exit off of Interstate 376, and actually North 19 and 51 are getting signed for West End, and South Truck 19 and 51 are getting signed for Uniontown. I guess that's the designation for bypass 19 is Truck 19? I don't know. Here we get an exit for Interstate 279 North, West End Bridge, and North Shore. And we are signed to North Pennsylvania 65, West End Bridge, and Ohio River Boulevard. So I guess both of these roads here will take you to the West End Bridge, and we just have secondary things to differentiate them. Here we are on the West End Bridge, and we are now getting the Kentucky treatment of Ohio River Boulevard, while Truck North 19, South PA 65, and the road to Interstate 279, they are getting signed for Downtown and North Shore. And we can also see Heinz Field over on the right, as well as a bit of Pittsburgh. Yes, I'm going to continue to call it Heinz Field because that's what it will always be known as to me. It's what it should have still been named. Either way, here are some more overhead signs. As once again, we see the Kentucky treatment, Ohio River Boulevard, and we just get two more names of roads thrown on there, as opposed to, I don't know, Zelianople or something for Control City. And Downtown and North Shore is to the right, Truck North 19, South PA 65 to Interstate 279. So we split off of Pennsylvania 65, and then we just get more Kentucky treatment on this sign, Marshall Avenue and California Avenue. Again, why won't you put a Control City on it? But when we do get a Control City, we can see that is now Wexford, and I don't know where the heck that is, and I live in this state. So, again, maybe just sign Zelianople. Here is the turn to Interstate 279, and as we saw in Southbound Part 1, is getting signed for Erie and Pittsburgh. Although, when we get a Control City, it is just Westview. So, again, I don't know why they don't go with Zelianople. Here is where that bypass 19 on Google Maps merges back in with us, and we get a reassurance shield of North 19 to Interstate 76 and 79 straight ahead. So that is useful information. Here is our interchange for the Pennsylvania Turnpike as it gets signed for Youngstown and Harrisburg. I think those are good choices with that. And now we are signed for Cranberry. And that is Cranberry Township and not an actual proper town named Cranberry. So again, I don't know why you don't just go with Zelianople. Although here we have a turn to get to 79 North, correctly signed for Erie, and now we finally get our Zelianople. So, about time. Here is the very first mileage sign, as far as I know, in the entire state of Pennsylvania when we are well past Pittsburgh, and there should have been a few more of those like in the southern part, but either way, here is our first mileage sign in Pennsylvania, and we're getting Portersville on the top line at 9 miles away, and Mercer is our bottom line at 32 miles away. So, yeah, I mean, 80 shouldn't be signed for Mercer. A lot of roads probably should be signed for Mercer, but like, here's the thing. Mercer is kind of a big town relative to like other places that 19 goes, and we made a whole bunch of roads there, so like, I don't know. I'd say it's worthy to be signed. Here we are meeting US 422 once again is getting signed west for Newcastle, and I believe eastbound is getting signed for Butler, although we cannot see it on the sign, and we continue to get signed for Mercer. And it continues to hold up on the bottom line at our next mileage sign. We are only 19 miles away from it now, which matches up with our route number, so that's kind of cool. And here in Mercer, once again, we meet up with a whole bunch of highways. And left turn, US 62 and PA 258 are getting signed for Sharon, and the other way is getting signed for Grove City. PA 58 and 258. I believe we are concurrent with North US 62 and West 58. Here is where westbound PA 58 splits off as we continue to remain concurrent with US 62, and we get a 279 shield, as well as the control cities of Franklin and Meadville. Franklin for US 62, and we are getting signed for Meadville, so that is pretty cool. Here is where US 62 splits off to Interstate 79, and we get the same control cities once again. Here is our next mileage sign with Sheakleyville on the top line at 15 miles away, and Meadville is 32 miles away on the bottom line, and I love to see that there because of our junction with US 6 and 322. Although on the next mileage sign we see Meadville is on the top line, and on the bottom line we get Erie at 54 miles away. Wow! That is awesome, and certainly a rare PAW. I really, really like this mileage sign. That is cool that we get Erie from this far away. And that continues to hold up at this mileage sign too, where Meadville is now only 8 miles away, and Erie is still on the bottom line at 47 miles away. So that is really cool. Here at this roundabout that we have seen in the US 322 videos, we're meeting up with it as well as US 6, as westbound 6 and 322 get signed for Conneaut Lake as opposed to Cleveland, and our 3 highway concurrency of 619 and 322 is getting signed for Meadville, so that is correct. Normally, this is the point where I would just cut to the point where 322 leaves the concurrency of 6 and 19, but I just could not go without putting this picture one more time, because this scenery right here is absolutely amazing. What a wonderful view, and of course we also got 79's fantastic control cities at this point of Erie and Pittsburgh. I just could not go this video without mentioning this. It is too iconic to pass up, and I just had to include it. So, here on this bridge, I actually meant to show this in 322 eastbound, but because of the stupid editing software I was using back then, the video froze and you couldn't see this. But anyway, in 1200 feet, US 322 is splitting off and getting the Kentucky treatment of Park Avenue as opposed to getting signed for Franklin, and 6 East and 19 North get no control city. So that is pretty lame. After 322 has split off, we get these reassurance shields of just US 6 and 19. So, pretty interesting. And we get one of these lists of Meadville exits, which are not actually exits, they are just at grade intersections with streets in Meadville. So, that headline there is a bit misleading. Here we have to turn left to stay on US 6 and 19 as we get this weird, like just straight up like regular mileage sign that doesn't have arrows on it. And we get the control cities of Erie and Corey. So in theory, Corey is the primary for this concurrency. I don't really like that. I think some other place, like closer to here on 6, should maybe be a secondary, and then Erie would be our primary. After we make that turn, we get another sign, which is basically just the same as the one we saw before. Although this is now our proper mileage sign. So, really weird stuff that they're doing right here. And again, I'm not sure if I like seeing Corey on that bottom line as opposed to Erie. But here is where US 6 splits off. It is getting signed for Corey, which is fine for that route, I suppose. But again, like one more time, I'm really not sure that I like it being the primary of our concurrency. But either way, now we are splitting off and getting signed for Erie in 18 miles, which is absolutely correct. And then we get this mileage sign with Waterford on the top line, 4 miles away, and Erie is still our bottom line. However, at this roundabout with Pennsylvania 97, where we become concurrent with Pennsylvania 97 for a bit, now Waterford becomes our primary in theory because it is getting listed as the only city, and I don't really like that at all. Should say Waterford and Erie to represent the fact that we're going to Erie. But either way, after we split off of Pennsylvania 97, we get this one-line mileage sign, which only has Erie at 14 miles away, and that is fantastic. Here we are meeting Interstate 90 as it gets its awesome control cities of Cleveland and Buffalo. The only interstate that PennDOT actually gets right all the time, because it goes through a very short portion of Pennsylvania. And at long last, here we are coming up to the junction of US 20, and we are ending US 19. Although we get an N US 19 Acorn shield, and I don't really like that at all. But I mean, we got an N shield on both ends of this massive route, so that still kind of makes me happy in a way. So, with all of that said, let's move on now to quarter launch 437s the way it should be for all of US 19 northbound. So, to try and keep this as short as possible, I'm not really going to give reasonings for any of this stuff, except if I feel it's necessary. So, once again, we're just kind of going to go through this, and here it is. So, to start, it should be St. Petersburg, then Clearwater, then Spring Hill, Crystal River, and then after that, I believe it should be Gainesville until the split with Alt US 27, and then Tallahassee until US 27 regular splits off from the concurrency, and then Thomasville, Albany, Americus, Thomaston, Griffin, Atlanta, Cumming, Dahlonega, Murphy, Asheville, Cherokee, after 19 has split off of US 74, then Asheville again, Johnson City until US 19 splits off of future Interstate 26, then Spruce Pine, Elizabethton, Bristol, Abingdon, Lebanon, and then I like the idea of signing Roanoke for favoring 460, so then Roanoke until 460 splits off, and then Bluefield, West Virginia, put the WV on there to distinguish it from Bluefield, Virginia, and then Princeton, Beckley, Oak Hill, Somersville, Weston, Clarksburg, Fairmont, Morgantown, Kirby, not Kirby. I think I think I got possessed by PennDOT there for a second. No, it should absolutely be Waynesburg and not Kirby. What the heck was up with that? But anyway, Waynesburg, then Washington, PA. Yes, put the PA on there because people might get confused with that Washington. And then Pittsburgh, Zelienople, Newcastle, Mercer, Meadville, and then Erie. So, with that, we have now reached the end of the US 19 series. So, with that said, I would like to introduce my plans for what I have coming up after this series is over. To start it off, I will be doing a video about Pennsylvania Route 26 because that is a route that I am very, very familiar with. It means quite a lot to me. It goes by the place where I used to live for a lot of my life. It's where I was born. And then after that, I'm not 100% sure. I have quite a lot of ideas in mind, but I think I will start off with a reboot of US 322 because my old 322 videos are really, really long, and a lot of the stuff I said in it is pretty outdated after some other videos about US highways have come out. But with all that said, thank you all so much once again for watching this whole US 19 series, and until the next video, everyone, have a good one. Peace.